Narcissus, Narcissus, Nargis. Hey dear sniffers, my name is Edip and you're watching Odosuki, the channel where we sniff and educate our noses. So if you want to get to know more about the details of perfumery with a person from within the industry, so maybe consider subscribing. Today I'm starting a new series that I haven't decided on the name yet, but it is a series where we dive into details about one particular raw material that is used in perfumery. The raw materials meaning the things that you utilize to create the art that is perfumery. And we are starting with my most favorite flower of all time, which is Narcissus. As you can see, I'm wearing my Narcissus t-shirt. It wouldn't be right if I started with something else. I love Narcissus so much. I even have a self-made tattoo of Narcissus on my leg here. Narcissus is a flower that has 6 petals, except this one where you have like different other petal-like things coming out. These petals surrounds a trumpet-shaped corona. It's a member of a family of plants called Amaryllidaceae. The colors of the petals can be white or yellow. Color of corona can be white, yellow, orange. The name comes from Greek mythology, from the most beautiful boy in the universe whom everyone fell in love with. Narcissus was a hunter and he loved everything that is beautiful in the nature. But sadly, he was cursed to fall in love with himself when he saw his reflection on the water. Today, the connotation of the word Narcissus is one being selfish and one being obsessed with themselves. But I don't see it that way. For me, Narcissus is loving everything beautiful surrounding us and also loving ourselves and appreciating our own beauty. Once as a teenager, I lived through a time where I thought no one loved me and I thought I had to love myself, and I kind of achieved it and I'm so happy that I achieved it. But let's move on to the perfumery side of Narcissus right now. That's the topic. It is one of the flowers that its raw material is very precious and expensive, and it has been used in perfumery for a long time now. It is one of the flowers that you have the absolute of. An absolute is a kind of raw material that you obtain by doing extraction with a solvent. The solvent is usually a molecule called hexane, and it is the most commonly used solvent for having absolutes because it is good at capturing the fragrant molecules of flowers. After that, you do another extraction with alcohol, so you can get rid of this insoluble annoying waxes, so it is very much easier to use in fragrances. The flower Narcissus originates from Middle East and Mediterranean countries. It blooms with the beginning of spring, and from a ton of Narcissus flowers, meaning 1,000 kilograms of Narcissus flowers, you obtain 750 grams of absolute, and this makes the yield of having absolute 0.075, which is super low, but it's sadly the reality for having absolutes of flowers. And of course, this low yield results in a very high price, and it is from 8,000 to 12,000 euros for 1 kilogram of Narcissus Absolute. There are many species of Narcissus, like this wild one that I came across with in Heaven and Hell caves in Mersin, Turkey. However, I think only 3 species of Narcissus are used in perfumery. First of them is Narcissus poeticus, where you have misshaped, longer, white petals with small yellow corona going to orange at the edge of the corona. Another one is Narcissus tazetta, which is my most favorite one. It has much smaller blossoms compared to poeticus. They have white petals with yellow corona, and it has multiple many blossoms staying in clusters with each other, which makes it super cute. And my dearest memory with Narcissus tazetta is when I was in Tokyo. In Tokyo there is this garden called Shinjuku Goyan Garden, and I was walking around and I came across with beautiful white fields of Narcissus tazetta, and I didn't know it was Narcissus tazetta at that time. I stayed in that park for more than maybe 3 hours, just walking and going back to the same field and sniffing the flowers. These particular memories that I have with smells and flowers are very precious to me, and I never can forget them. And I want to be able to use these memories in the future with fragrances. The last one is Narcissus jonquilla. I'm probably butchering the name. It is a narcissus that has yellow petals with yellow corona, and this is the species that I know least about, so I can't really share much information on this one, and I don't think I ever smelled it either. And the most important thing about all these 3 species is that they all smell different. For example, you might have a stronger heavy floral note from Narcissus poeticus, but you would have more clean soapy effect from Narcissus tazetta. And now we come to a very important point, and it is that the absolute you obtain from these flowers will not smell exactly the same way when you smell the flower itself. I think this goes for almost all the flowers or other raw materials in perfumery. For example, the tuberose absolute will not exactly smell like the tuberose flower. For some flowers, this difference might not be so significant, like jasmine or rose, but for narcissus, I think it is comparatively very significant. You see, when you harvest narcissus, you also harvest some of the leaves and branches, and these branches and leaves goes also in the extraction, where they add other olfactive profiles in the absolute you have in the end. But also when you're doing the extraction, you do not extract the same molecules with same proportions when you're smelling the molecules that are diffusing out of the flower when you're smelling it. And this is why we have something called headspace technology, but that is for another. So when you're smelling the narcissus flower, it might be heavy floral, green, maybe a bit soapy and clean and fresh. But when you smell the absolute, you will get different thing. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to smell Narcissus Absolute. Thank Dream Air and Christophe Lademière for letting me get 1 drop of Narcissus Absolute from their lab. And this is specifically from France. I'm pretty sure it is Narcissus poeticus. So let's smell. Never do this. I mean, sometimes you have to do this, but it's not the best way to smell something. And you see this, even if it's in alcohol, diluted with alcohol, the absolute is actually very thick and it's like orange brownish color. And the thing with Narcissus Absolute is that I believe it's like a universe. You can detect many aspects and effects. Like you can tell it has hundreds of molecules in it. And that is what I love most about flowers. They are so complex and so rich. Okay, firstly, of course you have this very strong floral character, but it is not the only thing that comes out very strongly. It's like very thick, like honey. Like you see this brown, maybe it's because of the color of the absolute, but I imagine this very rich, very thick, almost solid honey. You also get green facets, like it's naturally, it gives you this feeling of being outside. It gives also this hay effect that might be dry hay. And in the back, I almost get this leather. It's not leather, it's like a glazed leather with sugar. You also get spices. The spice I'm getting the most is cinnamon. And you also have this animalic effect in the back too, which is very good for adding this richness. You can just keep on smelling it. You will find out different things. So how could you use this absolute? I think mostly you could just add like 1 drop or something to your composition to add this richness to the fragrance. And also it will, I think, push the other floral notes. Now let's talk about some fragrances that has Narcissus effect and Narcissus note in it. First we can mention Narcisse Noir by Caron. Came out in 1911 and it was composed by Ernest Daltroff, who is a very iconic name in the fragrance industry. Another iconic one should be Je Reviens by Word. It was launched in 1932 and it was composed by Maurice Blanchett. Also another Narcissus you have is in Chanel number 19 fragrance that is very green, and I think the use of Narcissus Absolute can really reinforce this beautiful greenness. Another really nice Narcissus fragrance can be Everlasting by the Zoo, and I have it with me here, so let's spray. And this came out in 2016 and it's composed by the Zoo perfumer Christophe Ledemiel. You immediately get this richness and it's immediately floral but with a very strong amber, and it's like mineral, and this is a ship fragrance which I love. And this concludes my video on Narcissus. It was so nice talking about Narcissus today, and I don't want to stop talking about Narcissus. I want to talk about Narcissus all the time. I want to wear this t-shirt all the time. But for today, let's say farewell, and please keep smelling more and enjoy life. Let's enjoy life.